back, guys. Okay, the next thing we're going to deal with is the roof. So this is going to be a little bit tricky because we don't just have a rectangle or a square here. We've actually got an L-shaped building. So we're not just going to have a little regular A-frame roof. There's going to be some more complex angles in it. So, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a tile roof, because that was common in Tuscany in the Middle Ages. So what I've done is I've just used some cardboard, cut out some cardboard to make a little mock-up to make sure that this is kind of how I wanted the roof. So this is what we're going to be going after. Now this isn't the final thing, it's pretty flimsy and just kind of taped together and roughed out. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the supporting structure for the roof. I'm going to do that out of foam core. So what I did is just, well, not with that ruler. Where's my ruler? Here it is. First measure the width of this. Okay, so we know we're going to have, I'm just going to build some triangles in here to go up underneath to support this. Probably 2 of them. So just measure the width of this. I'm going to use, I use foam core for the supporting structure. So you get your width, draw that out. So we'll do that. Find a flat edge here, where you can see. Alright, so the width of this is, we'll make this 94 mils. The base of the triangle is going to be 94 mils. So we make a mark there. Then we want to find our center point. So half of 94 is 47. So at 47 mils we make our mark. Alright. Okay, we use a square to draw our center line. Make sure we're square with the base because we don't want our angles off. It's important to make sure you're square with the base. So just draw a center line. Decide how high you want your roof to be. The roof is going to be 40 mil. The peak is going to be 40 mils high. So we're going to measure up 40 mils. That's 4 centimeters for you Yankees. And then play connect the dots. One there. One there. Okay. Now I know that's rather difficult to see, but you can see now we've just got a triangle. We just cut that out and we've got our supporting structure. So I've got 2 triangles cut for here. Okay. And then I did the same thing over here. It's the exact same process, only this is a little wider. But you want the same height, the same 40 mil height, or whatever your height is. So I've cut 3 out for here. Alright, so that's the beginnings of it now. Okay, so we've built up some frames here, and I'll show you how I did this and how this all goes back together so you understand. First off, I mean we had the triangles already here. I just got some scrap foam and put it in between and decided to space it, and then I used the markings on the mat here to make sure everything stayed square. You know, line the edges of these up here, and then make sure this is square from front to back, and put those together. And this takes a little while because I put a set together and let the glue dry, and then I go to the bigger side, which is exactly the same, only, you know, bigger triangles. Put a set together and let the glue dry. And I let the glue dry for each section I put on, so that I wouldn't have things moving around on me as I went to work on the next section. So be patient when you're doing this. So if you put in on the front, I just put a little guide, and I just made this a 45-degree angle. You'll notice I cut a little bit of the top off because if you go all the way up, you're going to have edge sticking over here, and when you go to lay the cardboard on, you're going to have a problem. So just cut a little bit off the top there. So we put this on here like this. That goes on. This side is pretty much the same. 45 for the side over here. And then the triangles with the stuff in between. No big deal. Now, so this gets on like that. Now the reason that I've only got the half triangles in here on this side is because if you look at this, we're going to have an angle in here. If I'd have put the full triangles, they'd have been coming out here and caused a problem. And I just really need enough to kind of balance or to stiffen this up. So I don't think it's really going to be an issue. So now I'm gonna cut some new pieces of cardboard because these aren't quite the right size exactly, and they're bent and all kinds of nastiness. So I'm gonna cut some new cardboard, cover this over, and then we'll go from there. So you can see here we've got our platform to put our tile roof on. So underneath there's just the ribbing that we made here, and then I cut out cereal box cardboard and put it over that. Basically, I wish I could give you guys plans for this, but I have no idea how I'd make plans. I had to just kind of do it one piece at a time and get things to fit. Now, I am going to use Herstart's castle molds. This is the tile roof mold. I've cast a bunch of these. I'm not going to go into how to cast. If you want to know how to cast this stuff, look at Rubbish In, Rubbish Out. Has a great series on casting the Herstart's molds with plaster. I'll try to put a gather all those up and put them in a playlist on my channel. So I'm gonna just go ahead and cover this thing with these molds. I've got a bunch of them, and I'm just gonna have to lay them on, cut them where I need to, and move around. I cast these in Ultra Cal 30 instead of just plaster of Paris. Ultra Cal 30 is really strong. I've actually dropped these things and they haven't chipped. Dropped them on concrete in the garage and they've not chipped or broken or anything, so they're really strong. So I'll get this all covered up, and then we'll come back and take a look at painting it. Okay, so here's where we're at so far. I've got the basics on there, kind of letting this dry. You can see I took it apart, and I've just put the square stuff on. I have to cut the plaster down to the forms. I took the two triangular ends off. You can see I've already cut this down a good bit, but I need to sand it, smooth the edges off, and get it all to fit, and then put it all back together. Well, here's where we are with the roof. I finally got it all done. It's ready for painting. This thing was really difficult. I'm going to kind of take you through the steps I did. These, of course, are all plaster casts from a Herstart's mold. All this stuff from the same mold. He's got a roof mold that's really great. So you remember we had this kind of in two halves. This piece and then this piece with the cardboard. So what I did, I made sure everything was fitting. I covered all the two halves up. I trimmed all the corners down. And then I made this, you can't even see that. I put a piece of cardboard on the bottom, and essentially what I did, back this out a little. What I did was I just laid down a piece of cardboard here, turned the house upside down, traced around it with a pencil all the way around the outside and cut that out. So then I set that piece of cardboard down on top of here, laid the two pieces down, made sure everything was lining up okay, and then used the foam core braces that we'd put under here and glued those down. So all this stuff was glued together, and then let that dry real good. Okay, so once that was all dried on here, then I went back in and filled in the corner pieces and put on the caps. So you can see it's turning out pretty nice. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is just paint the bottom black. Doesn't have to be a spectacular job. It's just, you know, it'll look finished when you lift the roof off for gameplay. You don't want just this piece of cardboard sitting there, so we're going to go ahead and just paint this up. Alright, so we just let that dry up real good, then we'll flip it over and do the tiles, so be right back. Alright, the bottom's dry, and so I'm going to start out with just a base coat of brick red, and then we'll do an overbrush of terracotta and then probably a dry brush layer. So I'm going to start with this. And this is about a 1-to-1 mixture of paint to water, because I'm just base coating this basically. Alright, so we got the base coat on. I put it on with a big brush to just get the majority of it on. One thing you'll have to be careful of is this kind of texture. If you do this stuff, this will create a lot of bubbles in the paint, especially if you paint it across like this. So just make sure you go back through and make sure there's no bubbles there. You don't want those drying. Then after that dried, I went back with a smaller brush and kind of flipped it up to get the underneath and touched up where I saw white. So the base coat's done, and now we are going to do an overbrush coat with this terracotta color, so it's a little bit lighter red, almost an orange. So we'll try that and see how that comes out. Alright, so there's the overbrush. It's kind of hard to tell the difference, especially on camera. Basically, it's pretty thick paint. We just left the brick red down in the recesses and like up under the tiles and stuff, so it just gives it a little definition. Now we're going to do a highlight pass. What I've done is I've taken that same terracotta color and I've put maybe 2/3 as much of this dark yellow in it. It's not a bright yellow, it's kind of a toned down yellow. So we're going to mix that up and actually dry brush this. Alright, so I got that dry brush layer on, so I'm actually going to go a little more yellow here and do very light dry brushing just to pick out the edges. Get this thing on the house, see how we're looking. Alright, I think it's coming along pretty well. Everything seems to be fitting good. I think it's nice and balanced. So that's it for this time. We are going to, next time, start putting the greenery on. I'm going to put a base on this thing, just get some hardboard under it and base it up. Get some greenery in here. And then I think we'll be done. So thanks for sticking around, guys. Have a great day.